Good day, and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo, and welcome to day 21 of a year of change. We're quickly coming up at the end of our third week of doing this program, and I wanted to address something that I suspect a few of you have been thinking during the past couple of days, especially if you've done what I've done and sort of snuck in a weigh-in just to see how your progress is going. And more than likely, probably 95% of you are just thinking, nothing's fucking happening. And in a sense, you're right. If you're looking strictly at weight loss, you probably haven't lost any weight. But that's normal for what we're trying to do. So I figured I would sort of touch on this. I've touched on it a couple of other times in other videos, but I really wanted to sort of focus this one on it, where we've gone for 3 weeks now, and logic tells us that we should be seeing something. But when you look at it, you've actually accomplished quite a bit. For starters, you stuck with the program for 3 weeks straight, which is something that you should be happy about, because too often we drop off our diets or other programs that we've done very quickly. So you stuck with this for 3 full weeks so far. You started tracking your food, which is a big step, because for a lot of us, you tend to think, I don't really eat that much. I don't know why I'm still so fat. And then when you start actually tracking the food that you're eating, you realize that just because you're picking small bits throughout the day doesn't mean that at the end of the day your calorie load is any smaller. And some of you are probably in the thousands of calories and just never realize it until you started tracking things. So just being aware of what we're putting inside of our bodies is a big, big step. And the week following that, you created a goal, and for the vast majority of you, I'm hoping that we stayed below that. There's another big step. And it's not just a matter of watching what you eat, because we've still been able to eat pretty much whatever we wanted. It's just a matter of being aware once again that there's a target that we need to hit if we want to make these changes. And they aren't really hard targets to hit. For some of us, they probably are, if it's going to be a drastic weight reduction. But that's another big step. When you're looking at something and saying, okay, here's how much I normally eat in the run of a day. Now I need to just meet this one goal and go below what I'm accustomed to. It is a tiny, tiny change, but it is a change that you've made. And then last week, for many of you, it was something alien to you that you would just drink just water, because it's such a simple thing. But maybe you just drink Coke or Pepsi all the time, or chocolate milk is your thing, or juice or something like that always having something that has, and you'll notice this when we start tracking fluids in a couple of weeks, something that has high calories to it anyway. So that's a difference. So you have made progress. It may not be reflected in your actual weight yet, but there is progress there. So, that's part of the reason why we haven't cut out any foods as well, is that although weight loss is our goal, the main focus of this is to change how we react to food. And if we do too much too soon, we're going to just quit like we always do. So I understand it is very slow going, but it's supposed to be. We aren't starting any real hardcore tracking until, another couple of weeks, I believe. So right now it's just to get into the habit, so that when we make another change, that, some may find difficult and some might think it's easy, but the ability to make those changes, you have it, because we've already done 3 major ones. And then tomorrow, when we do our weigh-in, that's technically going to be our 4th. If you include the very first one when you started tracking food and started watching these and everything else. So I don't want people to get discouraged. We're getting to a point where 3 weeks is a long time to be doing something and not seeing any results. But when you look at the situation, there are results there, just not in that one aspect. Some of you may have lost weight. I'm not really sure. If you've sort of done a couple of other things in the meantime, maybe you've improved what you're eating just because you're now more aware of it, whatever the situation may be. Some of you may have lost weight already. Some of you may have gained weight, because it is a bit of a shock to your system to try to meet those goals and then just drinking just water if you're not accustomed to it at all. And especially if your calorie count is very, very high, and people make mistakes as well. So there may be some of you there that have gained weight. Maybe your situation has changed that way. But in the long run, again, a year from now, you are going to see a difference. And it's because of these tiny little changes. So don't get discouraged. This is how it was intended to be. And just to sort of go back to the reason why we aren't cutting out any foods, I don't want to create anything that is going to sort of give you that feeling that, well, I can't have that anymore. Because that's what every other diet does. At one stage or another, it gets to a point where we say, oh, I can't have that. And then, well, I can't have this and that and this and this and this and this and that. And then inevitably, just out of frustration, that's when you sort of fall back and have a cheat day, which some of you may have already had. But as long as you're back on track, we're good. So it is designed to be very slow going, but this is a very, very long process that we're going to be doing. And when we start exercising as well in a few weeks, that's going to be very, very slow. And it may be another 2 or 3 weeks before you even feel any different with the exercise, because it's going to be something that's so minute that it's not going to make any difference when we first start out. Well, so you think. When you're looking at yourself right now, you're probably not seeing any change. And even going through the videos from day one until now, I'm not seeing a change in myself. And I'm doing this with you. And generally, I try to map out what we're going to be doing, and I try to sort of get a little bit ahead of things as they go. I've already started, tracking fluids, things like that. So you don't need to at the same time. Don't worry. I just need to be educated when we do start things off to know how bad it's going to be. But I still haven't really seen much of a weight loss. And especially looking at myself every day on a TV screen, and they say TV adds 100 pounds, so, we'll do that. It is a little bit discouraging because, there's no change whatsoever. But the changes are there. You may not be able to feel it, you may not be able to see it, but deep, 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 deep down, your body is changing. And it's slow enough, hopefully, that it isn't affecting us the same way that a regular diet or exercise program or something like that would affect us. In which case we get those cravings for things, and then we just throw our willpower out the window and eat stuff that we want and say to hell with it. And we have cheat days and we go on binges and things like that. So the changes are there. And even if you just look at the past 3 weeks, those are significant changes. And if you look at that a year from now, as we keep changing, then you're going to have a larger list of changes that you've done that are going to be fairly impressive by the time things are done. So I'm going to start rambling if I keep doing this. So I just wanted to sort of touch base in this video with just to say, stick with it. You can go 3 weeks. You can go 2 full weeks, at least, with tracking and staying below a goal. And you can go a full week with staying below your goal and drinking water every day to sort of offset some of the sugary drinks and things like that you may be drinking. You can make that you can hit these goals. So just do it again. For instance, the water. You can go a full week. Just do it for 1 more week. As far as tracking food and staying below your goal, you can do it for 2 weeks. Just do another 2 weeks. And so then as this progresses, you'll get to a stage where you can say, I've done this for a month. So I know I can go a month, so I'm just going to go for another month. And looking at it sort of in piecemeal like that, it's going to make things a lot easier, and it is going to show that you are making progress. Even if you're not feeling it, even if you're not seeing it, your clothes may not still fit properly. You may not have dropped down any sizes. You might still hate what you see in the mirror. But changes are happening. Whether you know it or not, your body is changing. And it is because of these, for now, 2 little changes. But as we progress and as things keep going, I think you're going to be surprised that 6 months down the road, when you look at it, and if you go back and list all the changes that you've made, it's going to be significant, and you're going to be surprised that you were able to do it. But I want to make this easy for us, and not because we're weak-willed, and not because we don't have willpower, although we kind of don't. And it's not so that we can say, yeah, but I can still have cookies whenever I want. It's because we know if we don't do it this way, if we do things the way that we've done before, we aren't going to stick with it. We've given up too many times, and we've just gone back to our eating habits. So by doing it this way, making it so slow, purposefully slow, that you want it to speed up, you want to take the next step. That's what the goal is. So that when the end of the week comes and you've done everything that you need to do and you start up again and you do your weigh-in and we make that first change, then I would much rather have people say, oh, finally, we're doing something different. Instead of, it's too much. I've had salad for 12 days in a row and I'm going to kill someone. I would much rather have that first attitude because it keeps you enthusiastic about it. Not that you need to be cheering and jumping up and down, but it will avoid getting to that point that you think this is far too hard. I would much rather have you be slightly bored and anxious to get going than to have you exhausted and hungry and grumpy and going through chocolate withdrawal and then just giving up and never seeing you again. So stick with it. You've done really well for 3 weeks, 2 of which you've stayed below your goal. And overall, that's a good thing because you're more aware of what you're eating. And some of you may have actually started looking at the different things like fat content and sodium and carbohydrates and things like that. That's way, way down the road for the rest of us. But if you're looking at that now, that shows that at least in your head, you're recognizing that you need to eat healthier. And some of you may have already started making those changes. So although your weight may have stayed the same or gone up, then, it will go down. Once you start making these changes more and more and more, keep in mind, you're changing stuff that you've done for years and years and years. So your body's not really sure exactly what's going on right now. Some of you may have gone the other way and you may have plummeted and dropped 10 or 15 pounds in the first week, and then you're just going to plateau for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Everyone's going to react to it differently. But the main thing to keep in mind is that you have made these changes and they are affecting you. So don't get discouraged. Stick with it. In the long run, it's going to be much, much, much better than you've ever thought that you could have it. So that is it for this video. Just sort of wanted to give you a pat on the back and say, stick with it. We're going to start tomorrow is our next weigh-in, and we have another food change, very small one, but this one's going to be deceptively significant in what we're doing. So until then, though, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, stay warm and fuzzy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.